make a fool out of myself and fall on the steps coming up here. A couple of things I wanted to correct. The prevailing wage represents 24% of the cost of a project. For instance, Central Bucks East is in the process of a $30 million upgrade. Over $5 million of that goes in prevailing wage in terms of hiring union employees. The other thing is Central Bucks South did not cost $120 million. It cost about $102 million. One of the things that we first heard was that the solid wood beams that were in the cafeteria area made it look like a Marriott hotel. Those wooden beams were 25% cheaper than steel beams. I've been on the board for 20 years. I've been the president of the board for 5 years. I've been chairman of the finance committee for 7 years. I have a very strong background in public school finances. And like all issues, you get to the point sometimes where you just simply want to stand up and scream. Harrisburg blames us, we blame Harrisburg. The bottom line is that the school district spends too much money. That's the bottom line. And we are in the process now of reducing the payroll, which many of you know, you saw it in the paper. That's not going to be the end. We don't think that that's going to curtail what we need to do to balance our budget. Next year, I think, is going to be another year like this year. We're not going to pull out of this recession in 12 months. It's going to be a good year and a half to 2 years, we think, before we see that happen. When I joined the school board, there were 9,000 kids in our school district. Last year, there were 23,000. And in that same time frame, we incurred debt service of almost $500 million in school upgrades and in new buildings, including South and Cold Spring Elementary and all the other buildings. We upgraded the buildings based upon the longevity. The older buildings got upgraded first. As Jerry McMullen mentioned, the enrollment is dropping. I think most of that has to do with the fact that there's very little new development in Central Bucks, and I don't think it'll ever come back the way it was 2 or 3 years ago when the prices were so artificially high. I think that we need to continue to look at our overhead. I think in the administrative area we need to reduce more head count. We're going to reduce it by 6 or 7, but it needs to go down more than that. When I first joined the board, there were 48 administrators. Now there's 109. And that's a lot of head count. That's $10 million a year in payroll and benefit costs. When I first joined the board, frankly, I was appalled at the condition of the school district. They had little of any planning. There was no 5-year financial plan. And I was asked to put that together, which I did. And that plan is in place today and continues in place. So we know where we're headed, with our revenue and with our spending. And there's no increase in revenue. The real estate reassessments are, last year we lost $4.5 million. We project that we'll lose another $4.5 million. So it's not going to get much better, not for a while yet. I've lived in Buckingham for the last 28 or 29 years. All 3 of my sons went through the system. One of them we had to drag through, but the other 2 went through okay. I'm a member of the Buckingham Friends meeting. I'm a Quaker. I believe in giving back to the community that's given me much and has been very good to me. And part of my upbringing as a Quaker has been community service. And I will continue to be involved in community service as long as I'm able. I thank you for coming out tonight, and if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Yes, sir.
Mr. Baker, do you see in the immediate future any self-funding about the
It's a good question. One of the things that I've always admired is the parochial schools do a wonderful job of raising money. And in the area of athletics, much of their funding comes from individual families, from parents. We've looked at it. We haven't seen a lot of revenue from it. There's two schools of thought. Do it, get more money. Yet on the other hand, as a taxpayer, you could sit back and say, wait a minute, I'm paying taxes for this. Why should I have to pay again for my child to be involved in athletics? Or what about band? What about art? Do we add all that in? That can get very complicated, but it's a good question. Any others? We have significant booster clubs in Central Bucks. They're raising a lot of money. They are. Central Bucks West is the leader in that, the Buck Club. Now, while we're on that topic, I have recommended, and we're starting to plan now, we're going to get some alumni groups going. Alumni groups are very good at raising money. And for some reason, Central Bucks has never done it. I'm in favor of it, and I'm going to get behind it and push it.
Thanks.
You going to put the sign up now?
Yes. Want to stay on track here.
Be quiet, sound. Yeah, I know.
Thank you, Chuck.